Thanks for tuning in to a Sunday morning edition of, well, I don't even know if we don't have a name for this, do we? Anyway, we are taking a look at practice and qualifying from Saturday. It was a late start. Not sure why they decided to have practice and qualifying right around the time of the Kentucky Derby, but whatever. So I'm sure they could care less, but still, they should understand what's going on. So I decided, instead of doing this late last night, let's do it in the morning because then I can get the odds. All right. So we're going to go over practice speeds, qualifying speeds, and the odds here for the AdventHealth 400 race at Kansas Speedway. And let's first take a look. Actually, you know what? Oh, and also I want to remind everybody too, is that what I did in the past is I would have it edited into the show, the edited portion of the show from Tuesday. Well, I'm not going to do that this week. All I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link so check in the bottom of the video. You'll see it in the description area. I'm going to put it in the comment section. I'm going to pin it. I'm going to pin the link of the show where you can find it on Prime Sports Network, the YouTube channel. And that's the entire show we did on Tuesday. So you can check it out. And the reason I'm doing that is to save time. Because I have to edit this. YouTube is YouTube. And the longer the show, the longer it takes for this to post, especially if I edit it. So I may not get in there up until, who knows, an hour or two before the race begins. So the quicker I can get this up there, the better. All right. So let's go ahead and start, first of all, with practice. All right. Thanks to J-Ski. So, no big surprise, right? To see Tyler Reddick up there. No big surprise to see William Byron, even Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch. That was a nice start again for him. That's a good sign. Chase, Kyle Larson. Now, here are some, once again, Martin Truex Jr., a little slow. Not sure what's going on there. The Ford's really slow, by the way. Bowman slow. Logano slow. If you take a look at it, Ford had just one in the top 9. And that's right here, Noah Gragson. And we talked about Noah on Tuesday's show, letting you know that after how hot he is coming in here, that I wasn't saying to take him on Tuesday, but if he practiced or qualified well, take a look at him because the odds would still be good. He certainly did that. So Noah Gragson, I think we're getting close to saying maybe Noah Gragson is ready to contend for a win. Believe it or not. Might be real quick, but look, he was a rookie last year. Things didn't work out. It's starting to cook now for Noah Gragson, and good for him, especially considering how slow Fords have been this weekend, or at least Saturday. All right, so moving on down, you also had, no big surprise, by the way, Buescher being down here, or Keselowski. Bowman, that's a little bit of a surprise. He did not look good yesterday. And here's Logano, by the way, all the way down here. Okay, so that was practice. Oh, Toyota, 3 of the top 5. And remember, Toyota is the manufacturer that you want to be wagering on this weekend. Or at least that was as we talked about on Tuesday. So they had 3 of the top 5, as you can see, with Reddick the fastest. And I still think that's the case, by the way. Okay, now let's take a look at qualifying. And another Toyota, Christopher Bell. So you got Toyota on the pole, even though that was the only Toyota in the top 5. That's because Chevy had 3 of the top 5. But Christopher Bell, Toyota, so they're first in practice, first in qualifying. That's a really good sign. And the reason that we were on top of Toyota on Tuesday is because we told you how with the next-gen car in the 4 races at Kansas, all won by Toyota. Even before that, the last 9 winners at Kansas Speedway have come from a Toyota driver. All right, so that's the no-brainer of why we were taking a look. Matter of fact, my top 2 drivers were Hamlin and Truex. CJ went with Hamlin, Truex, and Larson. And then I went with a bunch of long shots for like my third pick, which was Blaney, Logano, Chastain, Bowman, and Kyle. And you throw 5 long shots in, you hope one of them comes through. And right now, I'm still very, very interested in Kyle and Chastain. CJ went with his one long shot being Chastain. And Chastain is still looking really good at this point, believe it or not, considered a long shot. Okay, so that is, oh, by the way, now we take a look at how disappointing some of these speeds are. Again, after a poor practice run, Truex does not qualify well, particularly well. Doesn't get into that top 10. Reddick. Now here's a very disappointing qualifying effort after being first in practice. Bowman, again, still slow. This is disappointing for Bubba after he was third fastest in practice. Of course, Blaney, as we mentioned, is slow. Byron hits the wall in practice. Hits the wall in qualifying, and that's the reason why he's all the way down here. But he hit the wall. It happens. The fact is, he was second fastest in practice. So we'll let you know whether or not he gets a break as far as the odds are concerned. All right, so there you go. That's what we're looking at. Now, as far as trends, Kansas Speedway, as we talked about earlier in the week, you've got 4 1.5-mile triovals like Kansas. The only one we're interested in, though, is Las Vegas. That is the most similar to Kansas. Now, you can say, you can throw Texas in there, because no Charlotte so far. And you can say, hey, 1.5-mile, Texas, good, put it in there. But Las Vegas is the one that you really want to zero in on. And as we mentioned about the all being Toyotas, also keep in mind that all 4 winners with the next gen car started in the top 8. Okay, so we know who those 8 drivers are now: Bell, Chastain, Gregson, Larson, Busch, Gibbs, Cindric, and McDowell. The farthest back a winner started is 25th. That's not bad. But then again, we haven't had like 100 races like some of these other tracks. And maybe William Byron is going to break that big with a win today. Is it worth it? All right, well, we'll take a look at it when we go over the odds. So let's do that as we also, of course, compare everything else. So the drivers, we'll say this, going through the odds now and also going through the speeds yesterday, that the drivers, actually the driver who was the best yesterday was Noah Gragson. He was the best. He was 4th in practice, 3rd in qualifying. He was the best. Kyle Larson, actually second best was Kyle Busch. Started 5th, practiced 6th. And you know what? With those 2 drivers who had the best combination, you're getting 40-1 with Noah Gragson and 16-1 with Kyle Busch. I am sorry, but you must put money on both of those drivers today. You have to do it. The next best would be Kyle Larson. Starts 4th, practice 9th. The problem is he's 2-1. That is insane. We went through this before, and I'm going to keep going through it until he starts dominating. Okay, we know how good he is. There's no question about how good Kyle Larson is. But why would you keep putting money on Kyle Larson on a consistent basis when you're not getting good odds and he doesn't win every week? It just doesn't make any sense. He has won here from the pole in 2021. Okay. He's been really good here with the next gen car. He won and dominated Las Vegas. There's a whole bunch of good things. Kyle Larson's going to be tough this week. Very tough. But is he 2-1 tough? Because you know what 2-1 tells me? If you're going to take Kyle Larson at 2-1, it's like you have to feel that there's really nobody else that is either doing well at the time, looks decent this week, just a few other stats and trends you got to look at that basically says, you know what, yeah, everything points to this is just Kyle Larson's week. I don't see anybody else that really, I think, has a chance and is worth going at 2-1. All right? Now, do you know how many races Kyle Larson has won this year? 1, Las Vegas. Now, maybe this will be 2 because it is the most similar and it does make sense. But are you willing to do it at 2-1? Okay, that is the trick. All right, that's the thing you just have to keep in mind. And I just don't think that this is one of those races. That doesn't mean that, look, if you want to take them, I think the best thing to do is, as I've said this before, let's see, it's a Sunday. So you might want to take a look at, I don't know. I know you guys probably don't wager on golf. So I would say, well, if you did do a parlay with someone from the PGA Tour that you like, that maybe is a favorite heading into the final round today. If you want to do maybe a 3 A parlay 3, you can try that. I don't know. I mean, if you want to do some hockey, you want to do some basketball, you want to do some baseball, just something so you get better than 2-1 odds. All right, because it's just not really worth it at 2-1 in my mind. You know what? Here's the thing. The other thing. If you think Kyle Larson is definitely the way to go, or any driver, it's not just Larson this week. This is what I'm going to say about any specific driver who's a 2-1 in this kind of scenario. I would say this is the week that you, and again, I'm just saying if you specifically want to take them, this would be the week that I would take a couple of long shots, and that's it. And then just not wager. Just skip it. Okay, I don't think it's ever worth it going 2-1. I just don't. I mean, I shouldn't say I don't ever. I think there are 1 or 2 circumstances a year or a season that it's worth it. And I don't say that this is one of those because of the fact that Denny Hamlin is really hot. And when you take a look at Hamlin, you're looking at a driver, first of all, to the defending champ. And you might say, yeah, but, we talked about the whole top 10 deal. And Hamlin is starting 14th. Yeah, but he's practicing 5th. That's a really good sign. And I don't care as much about Denny Hamlin starting 14th because it's Denny Hamlin. And he has just been red hot so far this season. See, unlike Kyle Larson, who has 1 win, Denny's coming in with 3 wins in his last, 7 races, I believe? 7 races. 3 in his last 7 races. Now, he may be hit or miss. It's either a win or outside the top 10. But so fantasy-wise, okay, I am all with you with Kyle Larson. All with you. In a fantasy setting, Kyle Larson is the way to go this week. Definitely. If you want to take Kyle Larson this week. Because I'm going to go through a few other drivers again, besides Gragson and Kyle Busch, especially based on the odds. But keep in mind, when Denny Hamlin won this race last year, he started 8th. And his practice speed last year was 1st. Okay? But the point is, qualified 8th, practiced 1st. So he was faster in practice than he was in qualifying by 8 spots. Well, he's starting 14th. His top speed is 5th. That's 9 spots better in practice. It's pretty close. And so I'm almost getting 5-1 with Denny Hamlin. All right? That's another point. I get 5-1 with Hamlin, 2-1 with Larson. So to me, that's the way to go. Now, another way to look at it is, well, did you already wager this week? So let's say if you did, let's say if you put a few bucks on a few other drivers, then you might be able to say to yourself, all right, well, I could put money on Larson now. I could put $100 on Larson because of the fact that I've already got, like, for instance, I did a parlay with a couple of live golfers because the event's over already, and I knew it would be. And then the live golfer, I had 3 of them with Denny Hamlin because Hamlin was my top pick. And and one of them won, Brooks Koepka. So now I'm set up. I forget what it was. I think I put like $2 on it. So now I'm set up on a $2 bet with Denny Hamlin for $100. Okay, so now that in that situation, I could see going, well, if I put $50 on Larson, now I've invested $52, or actually 55 or 54 because I put 2 other wagers with $1. So now I've got $55 in wagering investment, and if Larson wins, I make 50. If Hamlin wins, I make 50. Instead of, or I just go all in on Hamlin and put a couple of long shots in, and that's it. So you got the option. It just matters how much you really, really believe that Kyle Larson is going to win the race, and you're wagering at 2-1. Okay. Now, the other drivers I want to just quickly go over here, and that is you have, and I'm just going to go in order of qualifying. Bell on the pole. So problem is, the practice speed was 11th. He's 8-1, so that's good. Taking a look at Bell, when we talked about him the other day, he started off, by the way, at 8-1. So the odds do not change at all, and you got him on the pole, which is good. But keep this in mind. This is important. He's raced 4 times in the next gen. This is his 3rd pole. Okay? And his best finish, 2 top 5s. Didn't get a top 5 last year, but 2 top 5s. You know how many laps he led with the 2 poles? 67, that's it. And so he hasn't won yet, and this is his 3rd pole. Okay, but you are getting 8-1. But I would be, and he's driving a Toyota. I would just be a little bit hesitant because he's been down this road before in the polls, and it hasn't really worked out for him. So that definitely would be. And by the way, his last 4 races have been pretty dismal. 3 in the 30s. So I don't know if this is still a good week to take Bell, but that's up to you. Chastain is next. Now, this is different because I'm getting double than Bell. I love Chastain over Bell. Why wouldn't I take Chastain over Bell? They're right next to, they're on the front row together. They both had pretty much the same speed in practice, and I'm getting double on Chastain. Absolutely. Chastain was one of our long shot plays. We talked about that. And if you take a look at him coming in here, he was 22-1 on Tuesday. And you might say, yeah, but what did he really show? Well, remember we talked about it. His average result with the next gen is 8. That's pretty good. He has 3, all of them in the top 13. And his average finish in the Xfinity Series was 12.6 in 8 races. Remember we talked about that? Ross Chastain has only been a really good driver in the Xfinity Series in his last year there. So if he raced really well over his career at a racetrack in the Xfinity Series, then that must have been his best racetrack. And I got to believe Kansas was. So I think Kansas is still a good racetrack for him. He was 4th at Vegas. He led 33 laps at Texas. Those are good signs. So yes, I think Ross Chastain at 16-1 is definitely still an excellent option for a long shot. We talked about Gragson, Larson, Kyle Busch. Now look, Kyle Busch, he was one of my long shots. I was a little rough on him on Tuesday still, but I have high aspirations for Kyle, and Kyle does too. It's not just about one really good week. You got to go out and lead more laps than when you're on the pole. It's one thing to lead laps from the pole. It's another thing to get back to leading laps later in the race, which he wasn't able to do. Now, what you like about him this week is the fact that, as usual, he's been good here over his career. But remember, if you remember Kyle Busch in Kansas, this was a bugaboo track for him for many years. This was his worst racetrack. Then something snapped, I don't know if it was a change here or there with the team or what it was, but the fact was Kyle Busch all of a sudden started racing really well at Kansas. Now, the last 4 races, though, with the next-gen car, he's been hit or miss. Okay, he has 2 top 10s, 2 outside the top 25, though. Does have 1 top 5. He's only led 18 laps with the next-gen. Hasn't looked overly impressive with Las Vegas or Texas, but good last week. Good again so far this week, and you're still getting a good odds number of a 16-1. So yes, still like Kyle Busch for sure this week, along with Chastain as a long shot. Gibbs is 12-1. He'll start 6th, but the problem is his practice speed was pretty bad, and that's a no-no as far as I'm concerned. Plus, he's crashed twice in 3 races here at Kansas. I just don't think this is a good week to take him. 12-1 is decent, but I'm getting better odds with Chastain and Kyle Busch. So I have better options. I'm not saying Gibbs couldn't possibly do something. There are some signs, but I just think there are better options, long shots. McDowell's at 100-1. I think McDowell and Briscoe at 100-1 are still, hey, throw a buck on them. Why not? I mean, McDowell continues to do pretty well in practice and qualifying lately. The problem is at this track, his average finish is 27.5. That is terrible. And he hasn't even done well lately. So, but again, he's 100-1. Briscoe, the reason why we didn't really like him as a long shot on Tuesday was because of or did we record it on Wednesday this week? I think it was Wednesday. But the problem was that he's never had a top 10 here in 6 Cup appearances with no laps led and an average finish of 21.2. But we know he's racing well this year. In 4 Xfinity races, he has a win, including his last appearance in 2020 when he led 159 laps. So at 100-1, yes, why not? Now, he's practicing 15th. That's not all that great. McDowell has a better combined number, but I'm only talking about laying a buck if you want to do that. In the middle of them is Chase Elliott, and this is another must-play. Chase Elliott, top 10 in practice and qualifying, and you're getting 16-1 on Chase Elliott. What about that? Now, earlier in the week, Chase was 9-1. So what on earth is Chase Elliott doing at 16-1 now after he was 9-1 on Tuesday with the speeds that he has? I don't know. Now, maybe there's something going on at the track, in the garage. Maybe they know something I don't. So you might want to do a little bit more research on that. But take a look at this. Chase Elliott has been in the top 11 3 times out of 4 in the next gen. He won Texas. He won here back in 2018. He's got 6 career top 5s in 16 races. I do not understand while you're getting 16-1 with Chase Elliott. But you know what? Go grab it as soon as possible, as I would. So that's a bargain. Okay, Logano, Blaney, we talked about them as potential long shots on Tuesday. You can forget about it now. They look really slow, both in practice. I mean, Logano was better in qualifying. Blaney was better in practice. So I don't know what's going on there with those guys. Truex, once again, another week of not qualifying well, not practicing well, but you are getting 11-1. He is driving a Toyota. We keep thinking maybe it's his time, and maybe it is. You're getting 11-1. See, this is the reason why I have a hard time going with Larson at 2-1. Because even though Truex is not looking overly fast, it's still Truex. And he's still, when you take a look overall, last week, he had pretty much the same speeds. And he finished third. Matter of fact, didn't he win the first stage? So he's more than capable. And he's driving a Toyota. He's more than capable of putting it together. You know, he's got teammates to lean on. You know, he can definitely figure this out today. So I'd feel more comfortable going, I can get Chastain, Gregson, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Truex, and maybe if I throw in Hamlin because he's 5-1, or I go with Byron, which I'll get into a minute at 10-1. I'll just go with those guys. I got 6-7 qualified contenders instead of going with one guy at 2-1. When you know anything can happen on the racetrack. Anything. Flat tire, somebody crashes into him, anything. Bad pit stop, even though that doesn't normally happen to Kyle Larson, but you get my drift. All right, Hamlin. We talked about him too. Now, Reddick is important because he's 7-1. And we didn't really like him once again on earlier in the week because of the fact that he was 6-1. But we understood a little bit of why he did win the last race here. I believe it was last October, in the fall. And but he only led 2 laps. Okay, he's also second at Vegas, fourth at Texas. He's coming off the win at Talladega a few weeks ago, and really good in the Xfinity Series here too. So 7-1 is a lot better, but I can't really. I don't know. It's well, I tell you what, it's still better. Let's just say if you did this, it's still better to go with Hamlin at 5-1, Reddick at 7-1, Truex at 11-1. I can take all 3 of those drivers only against Larson. I can do that. So, I mean, statistically speaking, it's just much better. And I like the fact I'd much rather have Reddick first in practice and 15th in qualifying than the reverse, which is what you got with Christopher Bell. At least with Chastain, I'm at the same. I'm getting 16-1. See, Bell's 8 and Reddick is 7. Bowman unfortunately doesn't look fast enough, so that's not good. Wallace does have the third fastest run in practice, which is good, and he's driving a Toyota, and he won here before. He has 3 top 10s, 2 top 5s, and a win in 4 next-gen attempts. So I think Wallace is a decent long shot play as well at 20-1. And then finally, you got William Byron at 10-1. Can he win from the 36th position? The main issue I have with Byron, when you take a look, first of all, at his career here, he doesn't have a really good record that just says, oh yeah, he's going to be great here. That's why we didn't take him this week. He has 1 top 5 out of 4 in the next gen. He has only 2 top 5s in 12 career appearances here with 136 laps led, which is not a lot. And you're starting 36th. The only thing you got going for you is your second fastest practice speed. That's it. I don't think that's enough to take William Byron at 10-1. Can he win? Sure, why not? But 10-1, 36th position, never won here before. I just don't think you're giving me enough to go with William Byron at 10-1. All right, so there you go. That's going to wrap it up. We are going to be back again on Tuesday. We have another show before the All-Star race as we take a look at Darlington on Mother's Day. This upcoming Sunday. We'll be back, of course, I think we're scheduled to come on Tuesday. Again, I'm going to put a link in the comment section pinned so you can take a look at our show if you haven't looked at it already that we recorded earlier this week. I'm going to get this one up there as soon as possible. Hopefully because I'm recording it right now, it's 11:15 Eastern time. So right now that's almost 4 hours before the race begins. Hopefully they'll upload this pretty quick on YouTube and you can get this information as quick as you want. If you have any questions at all, just let me know. I'll fill you in as best as I can. And, if you can't if you don't have time to listen to watch the show from earlier in the week, any of that stuff, I can answer your question. Just let me know what's on your mind. You can do it either through Discord, which we have a link in the description area, or just leave a comment in the comment section and let us know also what you got for this week. Enjoy, I hope, because Kyle Larson could dominate this race, and it could be a boring race. It could be. But hopefully it won't be. Hopefully we'll have some fun with the NASCAR Cup Series race here on Sunday, the week before Mother's Day, and we'll see everybody again in a few days. I'll try to get also that link with CJ so you can take a look at his fantasy report at rotowire.com. And if I can get that from him this morning, I will put it in the description area as well. We'll see everybody in a few days. Good luck.